Hello, Hayden Barton for the Batman tradition. I'm back. For how many times I've said that, but I am. I'll be the first to admit, I had a little bit of a hiatus there, not posting as frequently, both on Instagram and on YouTube, but I just started a new job, had some things going on. Kind of had some things I had to prioritize, even though I'd love to prioritize this, as the top priority, right? Because Batman's the best. But no, I had to take care of that first, but hopefully I'm going to start rolling out more content, more of my normal podcast episodes I record, plus my YouTube videos and my posts. But I wanted to do this one because there's quite a lot of stuff I got to catch up on, both in sort of the film world, the comic worlds, the video game world, which is the one I'm going to brush up on in this time because I beat Arkham Shadow a couple days ago, which I'll kind of do a video on about that in full. But I want to do this one and throw it on with just a little bit of, gameplay footage as I go on my rambles. But really, we're back in the conversations of the Arkham series. When Suicide Squad came out, which I will admit, even though I did enjoy some aspects of the story or enjoyed playing the campaign, I think everyone can collectively agree that was not the best creative decision, and most of us didn't really, love it. But that kind of, I think for me and a lot of people, kind of maybe let the Arkham series for a while was kind of finished. Like, where do you go from there? It puts such a bad taste in everyone's mouth, the creative decisions, where it's leaving off the heroes, and that kind of legacy, I think a lot of people were just kind of assumed like they didn't really want it to continue, or just kind of decided to put the final nail in the coffin with it. But this resurgence of Arkham Shadows, because fortunately that came out and has gotten really good reception and kind of sparked that interest for Arkham again. But, like I said, that's not the Arkham one we're talking about. I'm talking about the fact that just a few days ago now, apparently we're getting, potentially, an Arkham Asylum remaster/remake. This early, I don't think they've fully defined, and to be honest, you really can't tell which one, whether it's a remake or a remaster, till you see what it looks like, because, depending on if these remasters really make it look better or some make it worse. But apparently Rocksteady has just greenlit a Arkham Asylum remaster. And I personally feel like that's a bit of an interesting choice, especially with where Rocksteady is at the moment, because they don't have the best trust with their fans at the moment, I don't think. But it just kind of interests me right now, why is that the decision they're making going with the Arkham games? Now, David Zaslav did mention something about them potentially making more Arkham games in the future, but part of this conversation I want to have is that is the Arkham series something that really needs to be continued at this point, or is it about time that we just kind of end it? And I don't mean end not making any Batman games anymore, but I specifically just mean the Arkham series going forward. Like, yes, it has the brand name, it has the recognition, it has the series, reputation behind it, but where it is now with, the unfortunate passing of Kevin Conroy, which actually, I believe it was 2 years ago, just a few days ago, would mark 2 years since he passed away, but more of the voice actors are passing away, and just where they've kind of left off in that world and series, I personally feel like it's time they sort of just go a new route, As much as everyone loves what they did with the Arkham series, and some people, it's not perfect in some aspects, but I personally feel like where it is now, just having to basically write off what has been built with the Arkham universe is sort of holding back a lot of the potential for the games. And, having to always write off of that and what's already been written, because where it stands with where Batman is and whatnot, we don't really know potentially what happens with these upcoming Suicide Squad DLCs where Batman comes back. But with Kevin Conroy gone now, I just personally feel like it would be better to have a clean slate at this point. Start off fresh. Start off where you can choose what point in time you want this Batman to be at career-wise. You have no previous stories you have to rely on or anything like that. You can just still bring over the same gameplay mechanics, but just start off like a fresh new brand world for some developer to play around in. Or, a lot of people want a Batman Beyond game at this point. Like, I feel like that's such a better decision to make going forward and allowing a future potential long-running series and universe they could create, because in my eyes I love the Arkham games and I will play every one that comes out, and if more comes out, of course, but I just kind of feel like would be the best choice at the moment. And so with this Arkham Asylum remake, I'll if it looks great and it was true, I'm not saying I wouldn't drop the money to go buy it. But at the same time, right, we had the original release. We already did Return to Arkham. And I personally, this is me, and I feel like it's a lot of Arkham fans. How many times have we all already replayed these video games? Like, sure, it can look great. It could have new graphics. But it's like, just, again, replaying the same one. Like, at this point, I'm just ready for something more fresh and unique as far as these games go. So, like, I appreciate that they're adding more effort into these games again after such a long time, but I just personally don't believe a remake or a remaster is essentially necessary right now, along the lines too of where they can focus those efforts. Like, how long have people been asking just for them to give us like a next gen upgrade for Arkham Knight? I mean, those are still stuck with the same Xbox One and PS4 original release console specs that they came out with, other than PC and like the mods. But why can't we get those? Like, why don't they focus their efforts more on that? We did get the Pattinson skin in Arkham Knight years later, and as cool as that was, I gotta admit, sort of the effort they threw into it almost to me felt like they almost didn't want to do it. Like, they did it for the Switch collection, and then they just kind of passed it off there. I mean, the console version of it, the suit is the same, like, texture and quality as the Switch one. When it released on consoles, the shadows didn't even... there were no shadows on the suit when you wore it on screen, and there just wasn't a ton of effort into it. So I want to see, if anything, if they were going to go back into a previous game, is that one, the newest one, get it touched up, get it to next-gen standards, and... make that one, because of how beautiful it is, just make everyone have another reason to go visit that one. But I don't know. I kind of think with right now, I will truth be say it, and if they released a game and it was phenomenal, I will take back everything I'll say right here. But with how Rocksteady let off Suicide Squad, and now with those like Sefton Hill and those main guys from the original days gone, I personally don't... Like, people don't always think about this when they hear, Rocksteady's going back to form, creating an Arkham game. I think some people don't always think about that the Rocksteady from back then that created those Arkham games is not the Rocksteady that we have today. It's tons of new people, an entirely different team, different creative directions, different creative ideas. And so I don't find that getting another Arkham game is necessarily that exciting to me as well, because I'm more concerned about this type of team after they do a Suicide Squad, what they'll try to implement into another one. Especially, it's one thing if you mess up a Suicide Squad game, but then if you try to implement worse that stuff and you really mess up a Batman game, that's even worse, because he's your main all-star, right? You mess that up, and that's 10 times worse. So, I mean, we have nothing to go off of other than I guess we'll wait and see. but we will definitely wait and see. Until then, this has been Hayden Barton for the Batman Tradition. See you, everyone.